That's awesome. So the next thing is we've got to get that protein in when we eat. Okay. So, because what that's going to do is it's going to keep you away from being tied to the fridge all day, so that you're not going to be snacking all day. You're snacking all day because you're eating carbs, and the carbs don't last very long for energy. It's like a quick source, then you fly back down again to the fridge. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to have protein every time you eat, but I want you to start spreading your meals apart so you're not always snacking all the time. So ideally, 3 meals a day. Just start with 3 meals a day. And you know what? Some days you want to do 2 meals a day. So what? That's totally fine. I did 2 meals a day yesterday, and today I did 3 meals a day. So the key is eat when you're hungry. Don't eat because it's the time. And the other thing is when you do eat, I want you to get that protein source in.
Yeah, protein, super important. Also, I'm sure we'll get into it as well, is the right kind of fats. Fats in the diet, again, like if there's one point you get away from what I'm saying today is fat doesn't make you fat. Starches make you fat. So don't worry about dietary fats. To some extent, there's some that you don't want to be eating, but we'll get more into that. And yeah, always have some protein.
Love it. And so, so for my protocols that I put my clients on are, I always start them with, and let me know what you think of this. I always start them with a tablespoon of extra fat, the right types of fats. So they actually get a list of the healthy fats and the ones to avoid. But I don't want to put too much fat in like this ketogenic diet. Why? Because if you're overweight, your liver's fatty. And your liver needs to produce bile to break down the fat. So all you're doing is feeling nauseous and overworking the liver. So the strategy that I use, I don't know how you feel about this, but I put fats in every single meal, the right fats, but I also just start with a tablespoon of this fat, right? Or, quarter of or half an avocado or 5 olives. So just start there. And then what we do is once we clear the liver, so get it clean again, then it can start to produce the bile, and it's going to be able to break down the fat. So then I increase the fats after that. How do you feel about that?
That's terrific. Good, very good advice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the third key that I want you to do is we need to stop chronic cardio. But I know you guys need to exercise. So here's what I recommend you do. You probably know the answer already. It's going to be strength training. You need to build the body up to be strong. And so I call this the anti-aging muscle, because we want to have more muscle as we age because we're going to lose it. It's called sarcopenia.
Correct.
And so the other thing is when you're like old, and I think about how I am when I'm going to be 80, and say if I fall, I don't want to be like old and like weak and I can't get up. So that's what the muscle is going to do for you. It's going to allow you to be you can move freely, you can stay active, but you've got to do the work now and build the muscle so that when you are in your 80s, then you're actually going to be strong, okay? Because otherwise you're actually going to break down muscle and you'll be weak. So we got to do the work now, otherwise we're going to pay the price later, and we don't want to do that. So you want to do strength training, but here's the key. I don't want you just to do any kind of strength training. I want you to do one that starts with compound lifts. That means whole body workout, and 2 times a week. That would be your best first start. Why? Because you need to program your brain to the muscle group and move in good alignment. Not just move with the weight, but move in proper alignment. So you want to make sure that you're doing it properly so that, again, you don't cause imbalances.
Yeah, no, that's terrific. Again, medical research is showing what we call, so the term you'll see in the medical literature is high intensity interval training. And that is being shown to have the most benefit for the least effort, not just because, hey, I'm busy and don't have a lot of time, but it's also avoiding that chronic stress to the body of over exercising. And if you look at even high level elite athletes, and you'll see them, they're on the top of their game, and then they get to something like the Olympics and then they crap out. What happened? They overtrained. Yeah. They just went too hard, and then the stress hormones get high, and then it affects your sleep, it affects your mind, it affects everything, and even your muscle strength. You won't have as much effect from the hormones that you want, like testosterone in particular, to really bulk up and strengthen those muscles. So overtraining is a real thing. And yeah, a good high intensity interval training program that's going to utilize your whole body, get your core strong. That's what's going to help you, burn calories and look thin, but also not just look, you're going to feel strong.
Yeah. So I'm just going to do a little recap, and then I'm going to ask you what else you want to add on. So just as a little bit of a summary, the three mistakes that I see women make over 40 when they're trying to lose weight is they're snacking all the time, they're eating too many carbs, and they are doing chronic cardio. So the solution to that is you want to feed well and fast well. So a menstruating woman would be 12 hours of fast from dinner to breakfast, and a menopausal woman or a male would be around 16 hours, okay? And the other thing is make protein every time you eat so that you're not snacking all the time, all right? And you're refueling the body with the right type of food. And the third thing is get into some form of strength training 2 times a week, like what Dr. D was talking about. Just start with 2 times a week, but just do it with the right form.
Yeah, and a lot of people that talk about that is even, if you do work it up, every other day, and some don't even go beyond that. They'll say you still need that rest day in between to really keep those stress hormones down. Yeah, so, and one of the areas that sort of where I come into play with some of these things is that you'll have particularly women go through something that they all go through, unfortunately, which is menopause, which really affects hormones. And that's kind of where one of my roles is. I help with balancing out and adding little bits of hormones that are missing in order to help you still feel like you did before menopause. Because if you look at medical research, the amount of muscle loss, so you use the term, Michelle, sarcopenia, and that's the first step towards getting basically old and weak. Sarcopenia really hits women between 50 and 60, and it's because of menopause. But if they're already starting from a state where they didn't have much muscle mass to start with before menopause and are fairly sedentary, it can be dramatic. Between 50 to 60, just think of, from years ago, some of your, grandparents or aunts and uncles, they're already in their, early 60s sitting in sitting on a rocking chair and knitting sweaters,
Yeah, and this is actually how I was able to reverse osteoporosis. So now my bones are 100% strong. I have no osteoporosis, nothing. My bones are super strong. My menstrual cycle came back, and it's very normal. So these principles, they work. You just got to implement. And is there anything else you want to add? Because I know there's a few extra things you wanted to share with our audience.
Well, let me just look at my notes here.
Some nutritional supplements, perhaps, that you were looking at, maybe that could add to this.
Yeah, well, there's definitely, there's definitely areas we can look at.
Yeah.
Chronic overeating in particular, especially with high carbs, tends to cause probably the number one diagnosed bowel issue in North America is what we call IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. And doctors tend to just say, well, you just take something to make you regular, but it has a lot to do with all of the bacteria that live in our colon. We have this vast number of bacteria. In fact, the number of bacteria in your colon outnumbers the number of cells in your body. And they can have a massive influence on how you feel. Because if you get the wrong mix of bacteria, or if they're just overgrown, it makes you feel bloated and gassy and uncomfortable. And if you don't eat the right foods to nurture those bacteria, you're just going to keep causing yourself problems. So there's certain supplements. One that I like, if there's one takeaway from here that anybody can do, that's going to help, because it's an alternative fuel source for your gut cells when you're fasting, and it also helps to, it can be a mood boost, is glutamine. L-glutamine powder after a workout in a glass of water, great for your gut, helps to heal up leaky gut, and helps your body, your gut to get back into its normal balance as you're doing it with proper diet and proper nutrition. And then there's all kinds of areas that can be talked about. This is what comes up in a functional medicine consultation with a doctor who does functional medicine. So what kind of supplements are you eating? Probiotic foods? Are you taking some probiotics? Sometimes people, if their gut is really bad, they might need digestive enzymes, or they might need some other help that way. So it's the kind of thing that if someone is interested in coming to do a consultation here, this is the things we cover. I call them basically the 4 pillars that you need to cover. It's diet, exercise, stress management, and sleep.
Perfect. Yeah, so and I have 7 areas that I work on, and so the first one is the mindset, because the body follows the mind, and so when we get the mindset right, then the body works. The second one is diet, so we need to eat within our that's compatible to our bodies, not our neighbor's body. So we don't want to follow what everyone else is doing. We need to follow what's appropriate for us. So there's no one diet fits all. That's what's so great about seeing doctors that are specializing in this, or clinical nutritionists, is we dive deep to see what your perfect diet is, and then we show you what that is, and it's really easy to follow. The other thing I recommend people do is we need to clean the body from the inside out, and so we want to keep the liver, kidney, and gut. Those are the primary organs that I work with to start. You want to clear out the space to put the good stuff in, but you got to clear out the old junk. So to get the cell well, you need to go in the cell to get the cell well. So get the junk out, put the good stuff in, you'll see magic happen. We want to get that daily routine. So for me, it's getting that circadian rhythm back, especially when it comes to hormones, because we're forgetting that we need to be outside to set the circadian rhythm to make melatonin to release it at night. That does mean going outside, all right, at certain times so that your hormones are balanced. Got to get the exercise in, and so that's basically what I work on too.
That exposure to sunlight.
And, so it's like a whole body plan.
Yeah.
All in one little package. Here, just do this.
Yeah. And then as far as diet, like you're mentioning, there's not one diet fits any person. You've heard these diets. Well, which one's better? Is it paleo? Is it keto? The one I can tell you for sure, it's not the what people refer to as the standard American diet. You can abbreviate that as SAD. So you don't want to be on that one. That's really high in carb, really high in refined oils, the wrong types of oils, anything that are made from seeds, sunflower and safflower, and all those oils, especially when they're cooked at high temperatures, they denature, and they just are associated with causing inflammation and cancer and things like that. So you want to eat the right kinds of oils. So you mentioned, things like olives and avocados, a little bit of olive oil, coconut oil. If you can take dairy, some people can't tolerate dairy, but if you can, butter is actually a very, very good fat, because the butyric acid in butter is actually a gut anti-inflammatory.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And these PUFAs, polyunsaturated fatty acids, they're the ones actually that make you wrinkle. That is the worst. There's 2 worst foods that you can have that is going to cause aging like fast. And I studied this because I didn't want to look like an old grandma. I didn't. So I really love this information because it really does work. So you want to get rid of the PUFAs, and you want to get rid of refined sugars. And look at your labels, because don't look at marketing. So when you go to the grocery store or whatever, it'll give you all this flashy marketing. Turn it around and look at the ingredient list. Yeah. Now we're talking, because you guys are smarter than that. So that's what I want you to do. So if you see things like white sugar, brown sugar, fructose, high fructose corn syrup, you don't want that. Put it back, okay? What you're going to want to look at is a really good sweetener is maple syrup grade B, just saying, coconut sugar, organic coconut sugar, stevia, and Lohan Go, and those are the go-tos for me.
Another one the only other one that I would add to that is unpasteurized organic honey.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's got a little bit of propolis things in there that are actually good for your immune system. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but those are still sugars, so you don't want them in high quantities. They're just for that little bit of sweetener for people who just can't tolerate things that are not sweetened at all. But again, your sugar needs to be in very, very, very low quantities. Yeah,
so check your beverages, because they're typically in there. And you know what? Artificial sweetener, you must get that out of your diet, because although it's low calories, it actually makes you want more sweet. And your taste buds crave more sugar because you're having artificial sweetener. It hijacks your taste buds. So that's another thing. Just get that artificial stuff out of your house.
Yeah, it even has effects. So everyone's probably familiar with the Pavlov's dog experiment, where Pavlov fed meat to the dogs and he would ring a bell as he was doing it. And then eventually all he had to do was ring the bell and the dogs would start to salivate because they anticipated the food. Well, when aspartame hits your tongue, your body says sweet and starts releasing the insulin already.
Yeah, that's true. And so when you eat the protein, you're not going to want to have the sugar. It works every time.
Yeah. I agree totally with that. Yeah, so in terms of other diets, so I wanted to go back to that, just saying that, you know, no one diet is perfect for any person. Some people, depending on what's happening, like part of an assessment that we do here, we'll look at your blood sugar levels, your cholesterol levels, your liver enzymes, your kidney function, and we try to determine, okay, what diet would work the best for you in conjunction with proper exercise and everything. Because some I do put on a full keto diet, others it's more gravitates toward what you'd call paleo, or almost more of what I'd call an ancestral diet.
Love it. Yeah, that's definitely where we want to go.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Like that's how we're built. And so we're just marketed to with the wrong information. And so we need to go back to what our ancestors did and apply it to modern day society. And also when you get lab work back, you actually know where your missing pieces are. And when you have someone like a doctor or myself who could look at that and go, wait a minute, here's your missing piece. Here's how we're going to fix it. And here's your diet. Just do this.
Yeah.
And you'll feel great.
One other comment, just going back to the ancestral diet thing. So one of the mistakes that people make with eating meats is they only stick to the lean meats.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
So basically, think of this term, when you hear this term, when you think of ease, it's basically our ancestors, our grandparents, if they had cows or pigs or whatever, it was nose to tail.
Perfect.
You ate, you know, the neck meat, you ate the tail, you know, oxtail soup, pig's feet, all these things. Very much higher in glycine. Glycine is very important for collagen. People say, well, you know, I eat all this protein. Why am I getting such loose collagen? It's like, well, you know, are you eating collagen?
Yeah.
You know, because that's where you're going to get the glycine to help increase your own collagen levels. So just eating lean meat is not enough.
Bone in, and that's what I always tell my clients. Get you the meats of the bone in and chew around the bone, because you're actually refilling your own glycogen. Your own collagen reserve. So you're going to see a natural facelift. And you know what? It works.
Yeah. Nose to
so
tail,
glad
nose
you
to
said
tail
that.
eating. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I don't know where we are for time. I had one question come my way, but are there any others?
I have to run in maybe 5 minutes, so I can stay here for a bit longer.
So any questions there that you want to answer?
Let's see if we had some on
Is it
there.
calorie
Oh yeah,
intake
there.
or
Is it
exercise?
calorie? So one question we had. Let me just grab the paper here so I can see it, or I can do it. Is it calorie intake or exercise, vitamins, change of diet after 55 that helps lose weight?
Especially belly. Okay.
Yeah, arms and belly especially. So I think we kind of answered that, but I mean, it's one of the hardest things, and it's why people have failed so much with diets, is because they get into this calorie counting, and I can't have more than this many calories. The wonderful thing about intermittent fasting is that it helps you forget about all that. They've done studies side to side where they had the same amount of calories in a group of people, one group doing intermittent fasting, the other group just spreading out all those calories over the whole day. Which group lost weight? The intermittent fasting group. So you really don't have to worry that much about the actual calorie intake. It's more how you're eating it and what you're eating.
Yeah, so how does the food behave in your body? That's what I always look at. Food is information. So if you're feeding the body with protein, you're actually going to stimulate a hormone called glucagon. That's going to help you burn fat. If you're eating carbs all day, you're going to increase insulin, and that's going to store fat. So same calories, but it's having a different effect in the body. So what I want you to do is get away from this calorie thing. I never count calories with my clients, ever. Never have. And they get results every single time. What we do is we feed within that window. We make sure they're feeding properly, and we fast without in the other window. And guess what? You don't have to give up your favorite foods, even wine. Like, that is too restrictive. Your diet needs to have some freedom. Yeah. We are not robots. We are not toasters. We're not a calorie. We are people, okay? And we have lives that we want to live and have fun. So this is not starving. This is not depriving. This is fun, getting fit and healthy, which is the business that I do, and also helping balance hormones, which is what you do. Yeah. And you help women look really good.
Well, thank you.
You do.
One other question I had here. I feel like I'm doing all the right things, taking supplements, eating healthy, I buy all organic, I exercise 4 to 5 times a week, but I find I'm still tired a lot. I also tend to wake up around 4 in the morning and find it hard to fall back to sleep. I'm 53 and take estrogen and progesterone. How can I increase my energy level? So one of the first things that comes to my mind when I read that is what's happening with the adrenal glands. are the adrenal glands overstressed? So it could be overstressed from the type or amount of exercise. It could be overstressed because even being on estrogen and progesterone, there might still be an imbalance there. There might still not be enough of something like testosterone. And we might see that there is, because of high cortisol, these are two of the classic things I'll see. Can't lose weight, can't sleep. If you're saying that, you're in the menopausal area, even just perimenopause before, and your two big things, I can't sleep and I can't lose weight, it's probably your cortisol levels are off. And you need to do something. And there are supplements that can definitely help with that. One of my favorites is one called Cortisol Manager by a company called Integrative Therapeutics. I don't have any investment in it, so I'm not trying to say anything other than it's a great product. So what it does is just got some herbals in it that will calm your adrenal glands at night. So it helps you sleep, and often people find that they have a much better energy level during the day if they can get that restorative sleep at night.
And so for me, I would want to look at what your dinner's like, because it could be hypoglycemic response. And so what I would like to do is, if you're 20 or more pounds overweight, I want you to stop eating dinner 3 to 4 hours before bed. I want you in bed by 10, okay, so that you can effectively burn fat when you sleep. But what I want your dinner to have is half a cup of starchy carbs. Why? Because that's going to allow for a slow release of glucose while you sleep, so you can sleep all the way through the night. Because otherwise you might wake up and go, oh my God, I'm hungry. Oh my God, I'm awake. I need to, do my thing. No. Put that half a cup of starchy carbs in with your dinner. So that's what I would recommend, is 3 to 4 hours, no food, but your dinner needs to have that starchy carbs. I don't want those starchy carbs during the day, because I want you to have energy during the day. So what I want you to have during the day would be more like protein rich with that fat, above ground vegetables, which are the non-starchy fibrous carbs, okay? That's gonna allow for a good bowel movement. It's gonna allow you to feel clean and lean and give you energy. But then at night, I want you to add in the half a cup of starchy carbs.
Yeah, that sounds that sometimes people are getting this hypoglycemic response at night, which is what's waking them up.
Yeah.
No?
Well, I think we're out of time. I know some people are looking at connecting with us, so what's the best way to do that?
For myself, you can just call the clinic to look at booking in for a consult. If, depending on what your perspective is, what you're looking for, if it's more from a physical outward perspective, we still take all the internal stuff into consideration. So book in for a skin consult. Totally easy to do. If you're more interested just in the hormonal program, again, call the clinic and we send you an intake questionnaire. And then once that's completed and we have a peek at it, we can determine what the best way is to move forward. There's myself here. There's another medical doctor practicing functional medicine. And we also have a naturopath that works in the clinic who's very familiar with all these same principles.
Yeah, and for me, I customize nutritional plans. So what I do is I customize an eating plan, and I help with cleaning out the toxins, and I help with the daily routine. So I pull that all together into a plan, but I always start with a free consult. Like, I need to know more about what your health goals are, and what's stopping you. So what are your obstacles? So you would either reach myself or Dr. D, or you reach Dr. D and Dr. D reaches me, one of us.
For sure.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you like this, because if you did, please leave a comment and say, yeah, I liked it. If you didn't like it so much, you can leave that comment too and say, you know what, that was so boring, I didn't learn anything, and don't ever do that again. It's okay, you're not going to hurt our feelings. Yeah. We want to hear from you, because we want to hear what you guys want, because we're here to serve you. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Okay, see you again.
Bye-bye.